I jumped in and checked out Orcs Must Die Deathtrap, which is the 4th game in the Orcs Must Die series, I believe. And I've never gotten in on this series, although I've always wanted to.
Oh, it's a fun series.
Because it's tower defense, and I love me some tower defense, particularly from the view of God from above. I like to be God. I don't usually like to run around, but last year playing a lot of Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess was my game of the year, and that was you interact with the main character that is putting up towers and trying to defend hordes of enemies running your way. This is a evolution on the series. That game was amazing. Don't get me started on that one. I'm going to focus on this one. This game has changed up the formula a little bit. Essentially, it's a third-person action game where you run around an arena. There are hordes of orcs that come from different points on the map, and you need to protect a rift from them entering it and depleting the number of whatever crystals or whatever that is at the top.
Blues.
So, yeah. So it feels a bit kind of like third-person MOBA-y meets, just in the way that there are like creeps and like different types of enemies, and that you need to block off those areas using barricades and set up traps that help you defeat them, as well as run around and pick a different one of the 4 or 5 heroes that have different abilities. I believe in the previous Orcs Must Die games, you just played as like this kind of generic hero, and you didn't have you didn't change that character. This is the first time I think they've added these heroes, and they're cool. I instantly went for Sophie, the warrior cat, but there's a big, brutal a bear who does melee stuff. There's a lot of ranged wand magic characters as well, and they're all really actually fun to play as, but I predominantly stuck with this character. And then, as you can see, you spend this character...
Do they play differently, or is it just
heaps different. This one has like a sticky kind of melee attack that would move from enemy to enemy and get really messy if you got close into it, which I found the actual moment-to-moment action not fantastic, and so this character played well for that. It gets quite messy because you will see later on the hordes of orcs get quite overwhelming. Plus, anything from a third-person or close-up perspective in a horde mode game is quite overwhelming. Don't go that way. And because, it really tests your ability to multi-manage or sort of deal with not multiple things happening at once.
I feel like I've played this 1,000 times.
It feels that way.
So many games like this.
So here's the weird thing, though, because I've not played one of these games before, I instantly went into the mode which was I need to block every entrance, and you can see that's indicated really well by you see that blue path of where the creeps are going to come from when you start the wave. Then if you manage to block them, they go red, saying, hey, cool, you've blocked all ways for these enemies to come this way. They're going to come up and bash that barricade until they can get through. So my mind instinctively went to block all entrances and try to manage them getting in. Wrong. That's not how you play an Orcs Must Die game. What you're actually meant to do is set up choke points and set up kill boxes.
Right.
So but the second you remove one of those barricades and you create the blue orcs, they go, cool, I know the way I'm going to come. That is where you make your path of most resistance. You make multiple zigzags, you fill it with traps, and that's how it's meant to be played. It took me quite a while to get there. And
but that's every single tower defense.
Tower defense is...
Because if you block the lane, they destroy your towers.
Tower defense is usually you go alongside the lanes and you just try and stop them as they come through.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking more the classic like Warcraft 3 mods. They were all like that. You build your labyrinth.
Yes.
Like that's the concept is like to build the most effective. Like you want to snake them back around so they go past a trap
those
twice.
Ones,
kind of
I
thing.
predominantly play the ones like Kingdom Rush and stuff where you just have to spend the currency on towers.
I haven't played the tower defense since 2003, so.
But a big part of them has been creating a hero character that you run around. So instead of just being the cursor choosing where your things go, you move a character around that has the ability to fight. But usually what I would do is try and block them everywhere and then just try and manage where they're coming through the most.
What's the hook? What's the hook of this? Why is this different to all the other tower defenses?
This one compared to...
Besides the brand.
I mean, this one, as I said, from an Orcs Must Die perspective, it's the 4 playable heroes and 4 player co-op. Previously, it's only been 2 player co-op. And Josh, if you skip to the second half of the clip, there's me running around as another character with another character I teamed up with. That's probably the difference in this series. As for the Orcs Must Die one, I think it's just they have a cool aesthetic. They have these like there's no story almost. It's just stop the orcs, get the crystals. But people like this series because it's
bit of fun, isn't it?
It's onto its 4th version, and the traps really I think are a big thing for this one. It's all those spike pits and creating those kill boxes. And when you make a really effective one, it is really awesome watching them all just come through and get churned up, the ragdoll, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really glad I'm finally into this series. Whether this is the best one, I can't give you that perspective, but I think online reviews are saying it's really people are really happy that it's taken a bit of a turn. The first 3 games have been out over like the last 15 years or 20 years. Like they've been out for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think it was time. I think by 3 they hadn't really changed the formula up enough. They were just choosing new maps. I guess the major difference here as well is that it is now more of a roguelite in the sense that usually you do linear levels. Here you pick one of 3 maps, and each of them have a neg buff towards the orcs. So you pick the map you want, and it'll be like, headshots do less damage here. Orcs are stronger in this one. Another rift might open in this one that you have to defend.
Oh, got some little cards to select.
That's the neg buff for the map. And then in the map, you do, I think, 4 waves. And each wave gives you, at the end of it, a potential 1 of 3 cards to pick, which can buff your hero, give you more traps, give you more barricades, that kind of thing. So, So there is a little bit of a rogue, like, run mode.
And that's the replayability, because you finish the 4 waves in the 3 maps, and you've played everything?
You do 2 of those, and then you pick 1 of 3 maps again, and then you do a boss run. And then you take all that back, and you can take a currency back to your hub world and upgrade your hero. But from what I've read in reviews, it's pretty minimal. So it is saying like, hey, play this all year, like, and chip away at your hero. Like, give them a 0.8% buff each time you finish a run until you've played it so much that you've finally buffed your character. So
NJ Games in the chat says it's very Disney-esque. It does look like a Disney kind of...
It's got an aesthetic that people
style, right?
have liked since the first one. It's a rounded, polished 3D nice look but it's bloody. They all giblets and
That's
fall
always
apart.
been the thing about Orcs Must Die. It's like they're not afraid to have the gore from memory.
Well, I think the idea is you put
But
them
it's
in these...
it's cartoony.
Cartoony and cute, but
yeah.
you're putting them into these kill boxes and just watching it all just turn to mush and giblets, and it's great. That's super satisfying. And again, my only issue playing these kind of games is I have to have perfect runs. Like the difficulty level when something does go wrong is a level of overwhelming that I do not enjoy. It is quite literally just things breaking down doors and all coming at you from all angles, and you're usually powered to take them all on as they're all zooming into the rift, and it's a yucky feeling.
It's the only genre of games, tower defense, that I've never really liked.
They are great.
I love so many genres. Like, I've enjoyed some of them. Not sorry to just interrupt you there, but like I would never feel like I'm...
Try them all, because they've all got a slight... They've all got their own sort of flavour.
I just feel like at their core, I'm not making progress.
This is on Game
I have
Pass?
no progress beyond. I've just got to stay here and they just keep on coming. Why can't I kill them all and then finish the game?
Totally. And the way that I've enjoyed them in the past is actually like PvP tower defense games where you're defending your point, and if it gets challenging to the point that it's effectively impossible.
Yeah.
And so, if you've lost too many points in the early waves, your friends are in front of you. You're just trying to keep your base alive for as long as possible. That's where I get the joy out of a tower defense. But, I just like the style.
They just keep
of this.
coming.
Yeah.
I like to complete
But in this
things.
one, it is segment into waves and levels enough that I think there's enough stop-down moments that I don't think you'd get that feeling. You'd be like, should we do another run now? And why? We'll pick a different map, and we'll all have different zones. This is on Game Pass, and I'm dying to play it with a full team of 4 to see how that feels to manage. Because I believe things like your barricades, you all get a small amount of them. So you need to be like, hey, we both need to use all our barricades on this door. If communication, I can imagine, would be really crucial. And I think it could be a really fun one to play like late into the night with a good group, being like, do we have another run? We all have our communication. Door on the south is broken. Let's all head there and fight because, I think it'd be a cool team management game if you're all focused on.
Like COD Zombies guy as well.
I do like that,
Which is similar, like blocking off the parts of the map.
Or choosing where you open the map up to and where they're going to come from. Yeah, that's actually a good
I'll always
comparison.
do like a Left 4 Dead over something like this where you have your wave moments, but you're still kind of progressing through a thing.
Yeah, no, fair
I don't know,
enough.
I'm just being weird in general. Just
I
for
get
some
it.
reason,
I
I'm like,
reckon
I
give
don't
this a
want to
shot.
stay here.
I like it.
And wait, they just keep coming.
Tower defenses must die.
I know.
But
I do like that you got different like characters and classes and
yeah,
different abilities.
and I think
all that sort of
they've
stuff.
mixed up the enemy types a lot more, which they haven't for 20 years, which people have said, thank God. But it's my first one, so I'm like, it's always been like this. I like it.
Yeah, cool. Orcs Must Die, Deathtrap.
we don't clap afterwards?
We don't clap.
Oh, was that good? I got a clap. Why not? Let's make that a thing.
I was just being polite.